Hey guys, it's Ashley and Yann here, Utah Trikes, and today we're riding two more ice trikes. We've got the Ice Sprint X Tour. We're comparing it with the Ice Adventure. This is gonna be close, guys. These trikes are equipped exactly the same. It's gonna come down to what differences does the frame make, really?
That's gonna be a big one, and we can already see the difference in the height between both.
Get out there and ride and let's talk about it.
Yep.
Let's go. All right, Yann, we are back on the road and we've got two trikes that are set up with identical kit. They've both got the 20 by 11 gearing. They've both got the same suspension, front and rear.
Yep.
They've both got the same seat, the same tires, the Marathon Plus. But Yann, you look like you're sitting a foot taller than me.
The Adventure is more designed for like on an all-road platform. So I'm definitely sitting higher, which right now, I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy. So my guess is you're probably gonna be a little faster on the road than me. But on off-road, I'll probably be more comfortable and clearing more obstacles without worrying about what's gonna happen under my trike.
The difference on these trikes really comes down to the frame.
Yes.
They're priced pretty close to each other. I think we figured the Sprint X Tour here is about $100 more on this setup. You know, you're sitting up higher. You've got more ground clearance.
Yep.
And I'm down lower. My seat lays back a little bit more. You're sitting up a little bit more upright. Despite the Sprint X Tour that I'm on sitting a few inches lower than the Adventure, our bottom bracket heights are nearly identical.
Yep.
I've got that more upright position where I think for performance wise, it's going to enable me to really put a lot more power into the crank.
And also, I mean, bottom bracket and wheels. Our wheels are about the same height also. So it's really interesting to see that it's really the frame geometry that make the difference in the height here.
This frame on this Sprint X Tour kind of dips down, and then my seat's also mounted closer to the frame. Not only does your frame sit up higher, but you've actually got a little bit of a riser.
Yes.
On both the front part and the rear part
of the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also your cruciform front bar, you can see how it's dipping.
Yeah.
When this one is straight. Compared to the Sprint X, I'm not using even the same muscle with my leg. Now I really feel the top part of my quad working, where I remember on the Sprint X, it was definitely different.
The higher bottom bracket, you know, I'm using kind of my upper quads and then my lower calf.
Yep.
So my two biggest muscle groups on my leg. Feel like this really is just designed kind of a touring race trike.
Yes. Yeah, when the Adventure is really, I will say, a touring off-road trike.
Yeah.
We were more upright seating. I mean, you know, I'm a little biased because I do own an Adventure.
Right, yeah.
But one of the things to me that's important also is if I'm gonna tour on the road and going through towns or commute, I really like sitting higher because I got a better vision of what's going on around me with the traffic.
Exactly.
Also.
You have the special edition, the anniversary edition.
Yes.
Of the Ice Adventure.
Yep.
And it's set up a little bit different than this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, as a mechanic and a Frenchman, I cannot stick with a stock configuration.
Sure.
And I really love also to experiment. So mine is a little bit different. But this one, I try to simplify some stuff, add some little like personal touch. Yeah, I really like the Adventure. And I really feel like that at the end of this, at least for me, it's gonna really come down to just the type of riding I want to do. I picked the adventure for a reason, and when we test rode the sprint, I loved it for another reason. And
Right.
I saw other type of riding coming with the sprint.
Yeah, I think it's going to kind of come down to how does this seating position, how does it affect climbing the hill?
Yeah,
How does it affect going down the hill, high speed handling? You know, and I would anticipate that in both of those cases, the Sprint X Tour is going to have that advantage.
yes,
So
definitely.
when I'm climbing, I'm going to be able to push a little more power into the pedals because of the pedal position and the seat.
Yes,
And then high speed handling because I'm sitting lower and I'm tucked in. And I will say too, this is quite a bit more narrow.
yes.
So this is, you have the standard adventure.
I have the HD adventure.
So you have an HD.
Yes,
And this is a standard adventure.
Yes.
So this one's even a little bit narrower than yours.
exactly.
And
yeah.
then this trike here, the Sprint X Tour, is even more narrow.
Yep.
So we've got a train here, guys. Like, we'll look here and you can see we've got this train. We thought today we'd leave a little earlier to
Beat the heat.
beat the heat, and now we're stuck in traffic with the train.
Just working on our time.
Yeah. We had previously ridden the VTX and the Sprint X Tour,
Yeah.
and you know, compared those. And one thing that I have found very interesting riding this versus the VTX is the VTX is definitely faster.
Yes.
Without a doubt. I mean,
Yep.
it is, you know, it weighs less, it's more rigid, and you especially notice that climbing the hill. You get on that VTX, and as soon as you push, it just feels like you're walking up the hill.
Yep.
No power. And then on the flats, you know, 20 miles an hour easy, it doesn't really take that much effort to maintain that kind of speed.
Yep.
Where on the Sprint X Tour here, you know, it does take more effort to climb. It doesn't go as fast as easy. But one thing that I came away from the comparison is that I really like the steering geometry better on the Sprint X Tour.
Yes. It's
And I think, you know, it's because the spindle height here is different. The suspension adds a little more height to it maybe, but there's a noticeable feel. My one criticism of the VTX, you know, not my only criticism, but my main criticism, having owned and ridden one for quite a while, was that at high speeds, I always found that the steering of the VTX was just too sensitive.
Yes, I mean, it can be a little wobbly, and I really think it's like you said, there's no suspension on it to absorb anything.
Yeah.
Rigid post, and I mean those tie rod and ball joint are really like precise, but also really sensitive.
Yeah.
Which is something I really like. I think it's like really like when it comes down to the steering, a personal thing, but definitely high speed, that's something that can be really scary on the VTX.
You know, with the VTX, one thing that I really like the steering when I'm not pedaling. So like if I'm going down a hill and it's high speed and I've given up on pedaling to go faster, then you just kind of tuck in and enjoy that steering, and it just handles so great.
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm pedaling though, especially at high speed, that's when that sensitivity and that wobbliness kind of occurs. And I don't feel that with the Sprint X Tour. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, as we swap back and forth and compare going around the hill, the downhill descent, how much is that going to be affected by the higher center of gravity? And is that going to be maybe offset by the increased width of the trike compared to the Sprint X Tour here, which is lower and narrower?
I'm not expecting anything like crazy uphill. because just of the geometry and the position. I feel like it's more like, in my mind, it's gonna be more like of a slow uphill because it's more designed to kind of climb off-road steeper hill,
Right.
you know? So, and downhill sitting higher, I'm just guessing, but downhill sitting higher might be a little scarier too, because obviously the center of gravity is gonna sit higher, so the trike might want to move. But like you said, we have a wider front end, so, and we got suspension also. So
Well, you know that whatever trike I'm on, I'm gonna go as fast as I can down that hill.
yeah,
So to the limits, you
yep,
know. And
yeah,
I've gone down that hill. There's been a few times that have been kind of scary on some of the trikes that we've ridden,
yeah,
where, you know, I felt them kind of slip, or I've lifted a wheel even. So, you know, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting comparison. So let's talk a little bit about the modularity of these trikes. Everything about them is very modular.
yep,
These are both kitted out with suspension,
yes,
but you can actually get like the Sprint X Tour or even the Adventure with rigid rear end, with a rigid front. You could get both of them rigid. You could get one of them suspended, one not.
yeah,
You could even go with the 20-inch wheel in the back.
26 or 20.
And then you can change the seat. These are the Ergo Lux seats right now with the increased padding. And then you can also go with the carbon shell seat.
Yep.
After having ridden the Sprint X Tour with both the Ergo Lux seat and the carbon seat, I would always choose, I think, the Ergo Lux seat.
Yeah.
I did not notice any kind of performance benefit
To have the carbon seat
going
on
with
it.
the carbon seat on this, and I thought I would.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a crazy thing. I thought, I have this mesh seat, it's gonna give a little bit, because that's been my experience with other trikes.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, if I put this hard shell seat on there, I'm gonna be able to climb better. I'm gonna have a little more power, and you know, I did not notice that.
Talking about the modularity also, so we're talking about the manned part, but you can also, go disc brake or turn brake. You can I love the idea of the front. You can get a 2x, 3x. It's really versatile. And I know some people who also kind of play with 700C wheel in the back.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the 26 is perfect.
The 26 is nice, especially if you're gonna run a fatter
Exactly.
tire like this. You know?
Yeah, I mean the VTX got the 700, but it's a racing trike. I really feel like touring in general, the 26 is just really nice.
Right.
That gives you a good in between.
Both of these trikes here are equipped with the rim brakes.
Yep.
For the rear, so it's a nice parking
rear
brake.
brake can be
so
rim
they've
or
got
disc.
that lever right there on the side, and you just flip that, and then that locks the parking brake. You know, that's kind of a nice feature. And then both of them are set up on the frame for a disc brake mount.
Yep.
So if you wanted to put a disc brake on these, you could.
And that's pretty cool because they will come with a dual pull for the front and a left brake lever for the rear.
Where you'd have like a locking lever for
Exactly.
the rear, so it serves as a parking brake and a drag brake.
Yep.
And then you'd have your dual pull.
And if you want to keep just your regular brake lever, you just get this little shifter, thumb shifter that turn into your brake. Just nice to know that you have this option to get, depending on how you're going to use that brake. My rear brake is set up completely differently. It is not down here or here. I got a thumb shifter that I adapted up here. I'm more of a guy who wants my rear brake on the brake lever instead of like a thumb shifter.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people use it as a drag brake, but I don't know. In my head, I don't like the idea of just pulling a little bit to get this drag brake. I just want to be able now to apply it myself when I feel like I need it. And I mean, we didn't even talk drivetrain wise with ice. Most trike companies start getting into it. You can order also an electronic shifting.
Yeah.
They offer the Shimano Di2 electronic shifting. And I know a lot of our customers love it.
So you've been riding your ice adventure for a while. What are your feelings about an elastomer-based suspension? Most brands that have rear suspension are using either a coilover shock or an air shock.
That's one of the reasons I choose ice. The front suspension come with three, I mean, kind of like you can have it with three different density of elastomer. You got, I think, the soft, medium, and hard.
Yeah.
I'm on a medium. The back, same thing. And on the 20-inch, you get only one elastomer. On the 26-inch, you got two elastomer and different position to depending on your weight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna carry any extra weight, like going touring, I like to have the vibration absorbed. But I'm not looking for long travel. I'm just looking for something that's going to help with my back or keep control.
You're not really an off-road rider. You're more
Exactly.
You're riding on the road, and so you want something that absorbs those vibrations, the potholes.
And if I'm off-road, I'm mostly going to be on gravel. I'm not looking to do any crazy downhill or things like that.
Right.
You know, it's like I used to when I was younger. That was my thing. Now I don't know. I don't enjoy it as much anymore. I see more issue breaking things or even breaking my bones.
Well, that's why you're on a trike, though.
Exactly.
Too, right?
Yeah. And you can still have a lot of fun. I mean, I've did some pretty cool ride off-road with friends who were on mountain bike, and when we go in those like smooth downhill parts, it's really hard for them to follow me.
Yeah.
Because it's just what it is, you know. They have to come lean in the turn like a trike, and especially with this rear brake, it's almost like a little go-kart. And when you're really confident and you learn how to manage your braking, most of the corner, when they had to brake ahead and lean, I will come full speed, just hit the rear brake and drive the corner, keep pedaling. And I mean, it's a really awesome sensation.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I've always told people that riding a recumbent trike, you know, a tadpole trike like this, is like having that pedal powered go-kart that you always wanted when you were a kid.
Yep.
And that didn't exist. And now it's here. And now, you know, now it's just like that. Because from your vantage point, you know, it's just like you're in a little car.
Yep,
And you got these two
exactly.
wheels, and it's a little race car. And that's what it feels like. These are trikes that you can take with you.
Yep, you can take them anywhere. And the folding system is pretty cool. If you need something really compact, definitely I advise to get the 20-inch rear wheel. Like if you're gonna do a lot of like traveling, trains, things like that. But otherwise, the 26 fold really compact too.
The ice trikes, you have to remove the seat.
Yes.
And then there's that quick release, and then the top of the hinge there, and then the seat kind of folds over at a 45-degree angle and then lays
Yeah.
kind of where the handlebars are.
I will say that one of my complaints with that is you have to remove the seat and figure out how to travel with the trike and the seat. I know some people, they fold it and they will strap the seat over the rear wheel that sits right there. That's a possibility. But it's still something gotta remember, especially because I know as a mechanic, I got a few times where the customer show up with his ice trike for a tune-up, and he's like, "Oh shoot, I left the seat in the garage, or I left the seat on the lawn in my front lawn in my house." So it's like, it's okay. Luckily, we're a big company. I can go grab a test ride seat upstairs.
Seat on there.
But I can imagine if you do that going to a trip, you drove, I don't know, like 8 hours, you get there excited, and you're like, oh, my seat is at home.
Right. If you really want a trike, though, that you can pack smaller, the ices function very well for that because the seat comes off. You can get a quick release set, and you can actually pull the wheels off.
Yes.
The handlebars can fold all
the way down.
And then if you even needed to take it smaller, like you were transporting it internationally or something, if you had to, you could even pull the whole rear end out of the main frame.
Yes.
The boom out. You know, of course, you'd have to deal with some cable and chain management.
Obviously, but it's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I work with a lot of veterans, and they're all over the nation, and most of them ride ice actually, either the Sprint or the VTX or the older model that
The Vortex or the
exactly.
Q&T.
And I mean, every time the easiest for them is just to ship it to me, and it's more compact than a two-wheel bicycle.
Right.
Like it's more like of a cube box. And I also have a veteran that was based in Germany, and he got the trike over there and ship it back here. I put it back together for him. He's going back to Germany at the end of the summer, and we're gonna do the same thing. So it's really kind of this thing that it's really easy to ship. Even when they come to us in the original box, it's pretty much like a square box. It doesn't take that much.
So this train has gone back and forth.
Yeah, they've been teasing us.
Probably a dozen times already. Well, that's the first time that we gave up on the train. Normally, you know, we hit that train pretty frequently, and normally we never have to wait more than like 10 minutes, but after 40 minutes of waiting for the train, I think we're gonna try an alternative route. I still need a hill to climb. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yep.
We gotta climb a hill because I really wanna feel the difference on these two trikes, pedal position and that seat height.
That's what you get when you go ride an ice adventure. You never know which adventure you're gonna get into.
Well, and that's it, right? We got the tour here and the adventure. I'm up for any kind of adventure. I love it. Any day that we can come out here and the sky looks like that,
Yeah.
and the mountains look like that. This is the street that connects to our shop, and there's a farm right here. We've got trains. We've got this metal ducting factory over here. I mean, this place is great. It's nice to be moving too.
Yep.
It's kind of a warm day, and it's nice getting some airflow. When I ride a trike like this that has full suspension, I find myself aiming for the bigger bumps.
Yeah.
It's like I really want to feel how well is this suspension handling these bumps. I'm really liking their front suspension.
Yep.
It just does a really good job, especially combined with this indirect steering here. The best way to deal with traffic, in my opinion, is to avoid it whenever possible.
Yeah.
Today is going to be a much longer, bigger climb. We're climbing all the way over the overpass here. So we've got kind of a gentle incline right now, and then it'll get a little bit steeper when it actually goes over those train tracks.
There's really no point of trying to explain how faster is the Sprint compared to the Adventure.
You know, it's probably a good time to talk a little bit about climbing.
Well, I feel like I'm moving pretty good, and they're putting distance on me.
When people get trikes, they go, I heard that they don't climb as well.
The Adventure is definitely an amazing trike off-road, but it won't compete with something like the Sprint on the road.
I think climbing on any kind of cycle at all, it's work, it's exercise, and there's definitely strategies.
So right now we're going up the bridge, and I'm telling you, I can feel it.
We're climbing a lot right now, and I'm gonna start gearing down. And so I'm in my low chainring up front.
Harder to move. My leg already burning. I'm trying to push, kind of find a right mix between pushing through it and spinning.
A little harder to talk and pedal as I'm climbing this bigger hill.
But you can see I can keep up with Ashley in the sprint.
Well, and now we get to go downhill a little bit, and then we'll get to go uphill a little bit.
All right, passing over the bridge.
Pretty much when I get to the top of the hill, I'm immediately jumping to that big ring up front, and I'm already cycling through my higher gears here.
This is really stable and it's not pulling one way or another. The suspension is doing an amazing job in stabilizing the whole front steering and making you comfortable.
Here he comes. All right, buddy.
Yep, that's our answer right there. As soon as you took off in the corner, there's nothing I can do to keep up or catch up with you.
Right.
Yep.
The pedaling position.
Yeah, we could see you going. I wasn't slow or anything. I felt like I had a good pace. There's no turbo under this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know, and it's interesting because I was talking about hill climbing too. You know, it's kind of a gentle incline and then it kind of peaked right over that overpass. And I stayed in my tall chainring for that whole gentle incline.
Yeah.
And then it's almost as soon as I hit the steeper incline, I had to just dump down to the smaller chainring. And then it was too low, so then I had to snap up real quick
Yep.
on my rear. My philosophy though on hills has always been gear down and just spin faster.
Yep.
We're actually interacting with the intersection right now. So now we actually have a bike lane. Woo, bike lane! You know, this is a long hill
Yep.
in front of us.
That's slowly
And
go
it's,
up on incline.
It's a long, kind of a gentle incline. And on a hill like this, I tend to stay more in my bigger ring up front. By the time I get to the top though, I'm usually all the way in my lowest gear in the back. So one thing I'm definitely appreciating right now is the higher bottom bracket.
Yep.
You know, I know on that adventure that you've got, it's a different pedaling experience.
I feel like it's like bubble gum on my wheels sticking to the floor. And I gotta do way more work to go up the hill at a slower pace too.
Where with a higher bottom bracket like this, I get to put a lot more power because that
Yep.
seat, the back of the seat kind of lines up with the bottom bracket. My favorite part of climbing the hill is when we start getting to that peak. I could see the crest of the hill. It's coming up. We're at the top. Now we gotta let gravity do the work.
Yep.
I'm normally a pedal as fast as I can guy, but I'm already out of gears. So I'm just enjoying the ride. This time we're taking our hill
You can hear
from
the
another
train coming
side.
back.
Okay, let's see. How fast can we get these ices? Okay, I'm getting a little... I feel like we earned that hill.
With that upright position, I was literally fighting the wind. I could feel like the wind holding me compared to the sprint.
So now here's the interesting thing though. Because you started out in front of me, I was pushing extra hard, trying to catch up and overtake you, you know? So I'm pedaling harder. It's the first time on this trike that I actually was feeling the tires, both my inside right tire and the rear tire were actually slipping out from underneath me
Yeah.
as I was turning. There was no instability like I was gonna tip. It definitely felt like I was losing traction there. I couldn't go any faster.
And so one of the things I noticed too that was really interesting is when we started from the red light, far back, took the turn and get over the bridge, you just took off, and after you just built the gap, I couldn't catch up.
Yeah.
On this last hill, we were coming already pretty fast into the hill from the downhill just before.
Yeah.
And just staying in the gear and keep pushing it, it was almost like a truck. And I actually caught up with you and was able to stay on your side or behind you. So it's really interesting because I feel like short climb, or like when you have to like more this racing mode when you gotta push and boom, you go. That's not the forte on the adventure.
Yeah.
But when you start getting to a certain speed, you carry that speed.
If we would have waited for the train, we'd probably be exactly where we are right now.
Yep.
We just wouldn't have ridden an extra 5 miles. I think it was worth it though. I was up for it.
I don't know, definitely.
Yeah, so normally guys, like our rides, we've got them down where if we're not hitting the train and you know, we're doing 2 loops on this with 2 trikes, you know, most of our videos are ending up being about a half an hour long, and most of our actual rides were right around 55 to 60 minutes. Today, you know, we waited for the train for about half an hour, and total we've been out right now about an hour and 20 minutes. We're just gonna start our second loop. The comparison today is gonna be a little bit different because we each spent more time on our starter trike. So I spent more time, you know, on the Ice Sprint X Tour, and not only was part of that sitting on the trike, we got a longer climb combined with the steeper climb. We dealt with some traffic, and now we're gonna switch. Now we're gonna do our regular climb and our downhill run. So the difference in the seat height is drastically noticeable.
Yep.
Like when I sit on this, I feel like I am towering above you. I don't know too if, you know, if you'll notice it, but we'll see as we ride more. But I almost feel like the suspension on this feels softer, which seems weird because it's the exact same suspension on both of them.
Yeah, but you cooled the 5 as you're sitting a little bit higher and a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
Cool, change the feel.
Yeah, so I'm definitely noticing the climbing disadvantage.
Told you.
Yeah, you told me. Ooh.
And it's really cool because we rode longer the first time, I can feel my muscle better, and I definitely feel that is not the same muscles working right now. I mean, the quad are both working, but in my calf, it's more the higher part. Okay, and I'm not gonna lie, I push a little harder because I didn't like him beating me on the first hill over there.
I'm coming. I knew it was gonna be different. I was not prepared for how different. I think part of it is, I don't know if you felt the same way, when you're seated up higher like this with the lower bottom bracket, when you're climbing, I have a tendency to want to pull the handlebars.
Yeah.
With the indirect steering like this, I can't. I'm at a disadvantage climbing on this. I can't put as much power into the pedals, and I can't pull with my upper body as much.
Yeah. So you know what I mean when I talk about the bubble gum feeling?
Yeah.
Like between the road and the tire, like it's kind of sticking and you're pushing, but compared to the sprint, it feels like it doesn't react.
I could feel the suspension more on this. All right, well, let's see how well it does downhill. Well, I got a wheel up in the air. lot of times when we're riding trikes and then we're switching, you know they're going to be different.
Yep.
On most trikes, those differences are subtle. Going into this ride today, I was sure that these two trikes were going to be almost the same because they are almost the same, right?
Yep.
Except for the frame.
Yep.
I was wrong, Yann. These are two totally different trikes. They're not even close.
I mean, the geometry.
What a
huge
difference. And I've ridden both trikes, you know, and when you go and you ride one trike, you have an experience.
Yep.
You have an adventure like we were talking about. And each of those adventures is kind of a self-contained experience. You know, in this case though, where we're switching trikes back and forth, it's like a shared experience between both of us and then also two different trikes. I am blown away, absolutely blown away by the difference. I'll tell you right off the bat, for my kind of riding, you know, I know you have an adventure.
Yep.
But for me, for my kind of riding, between these two trikes, that Sprint X Tour every day, all day long, that's the one I'm choosing. It's
well,
climbing the hills, going down the hills, you know, having the bigger suspension feel on this trike is interesting. And maybe it's because of the way the seat position is to the rear.
yep.
Like I definitely feel the rear is softer on this trike, even though they're the same.
Like we were saying earlier, it's really two different tracks for two different purposes. I got my adventure because I was looking for a gravel trike, which means I wanted something that can be on the road comfortable,
Sure.
but not oriented for speed. But I could jump on any trail on the side of the road and go have fun. And so I felt like the Sprint was a good option, but looking at it, I felt like it was a little too low for what I wanted to do off-road. So that's why I went with the Adventure, which is really kind of my gravel trike that I can bring anywhere. I went over obstacle and climbed some stuff with that. That was so much fun. And I realized that's not something I would have done with the Sprint. So I think, like the name said, the Adventure is you're gonna go explore off the path places.
Right.
When
well, I think it depends on not only the kind of ride you're doing, but the kind of rider that you are. You know, I'm a faster rider. I like climbing. I like going down hills, and I like to go fast. I like to carve corners. I don't mind dealing with traffic. I do feel like just on today's ride, because we had to cross the road multiple times,
Yep.
is the seat height on the Sprint X Tour definitely put me in a disadvantage. Neither of these trikes right now is equipped with mirrors,
Yep.
which, you know, I would wholeheartedly recommend that you put mirrors on them, you know, but dealing with the traffic there, I definitely felt like I was sitting lower than I would have liked to.
Yep.
You know, and right now, you know, we're on a flat road. You know, this pedaling position is not too bad. You know, we're clipping along at a good pace, about 17. You know, feels pretty good.
Well, here's the interesting part. Going from the Adventure to the Sprint. Now, like right now, my butt hurts a little bit, and I feel like I keep sliding in the seat now.
That kind of surprised me. And part of it was because I was sitting in that seat for so long.
Yeah.
While we were waiting for the train.
And I think that's why the sensation, yeah.
But my lower, kind of my upper butt, lower back was starting to hurt a little bit on that. But as soon as I sat on this, with just sitting up a little bit higher, with less recline, I don't feel any of that pain. The main disadvantage that the Adventure has for me is this lower bottom bracket height.
Yeah.
You know, that you ride all the time. I have a cat trike that I ride all the time, and my bottom bracket is higher.
Yep.
And so I'm used to a higher bottom bracket. the Sprint X Tour is pretty in line with what I'm used to riding, where the Adventure or the bottom bracket sits a lot lower.
And I think it's really the sensation I have. It's really because I was sitting for so long also in this seat that this seat, I'm pretty sure, is at the highest position, and I still feel like I'm reclining way too much. So it's really interesting when you actually spend more time on one track and go to the other, because your body gets used to a certain position.
All right, guys. Well, we're heading back to the shop finally here. We had a longer ride today, and I'm glad we did. We got to spend some more time on these two fantastic trikes. This really changed my perspective. You know, I've ridden both of these trikes plenty, and going into this comparison, I did not anticipate there would be that big of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, immediately climbing a hill and then switching trikes and then climbing another hill, going down on both of them, the difference is pretty stark. So I'll sum this up, you know, in my perspective, my feeling for my style of riding. I like to climb hills, and I like to climb hills fast, and I like to go down hills fast, and I like to put everything I have into going into corners, hugging those corners.
Yeah.
And for me, the Sprint X Tour is the winner by a long shot there. And I definitely felt a disadvantage climbing on the Adventure, in part due to that lower bottom bracket, the seat height. But interestingly enough, I found the suspension on the Adventure to feel softer and to feel like a more comfortable trike than the Sprint X Tour. Racing down the hills harder, you know, when I have a more competitive rider here with me, like Yann, you know, versus Davey. I love Davey, guys, but he likes coasting down the hills.
Yeah.
And so
He doesn't put the work.
Yeah, so, you know, and I feel like if we're making all this effort to climb up the hill, you better believe I'm going to make the effort going down the hill. So us really pushing to go down those hills, I felt like I was riding at the limit of both of these trikes. So when I was carving really hard on the Sprint X Tour, I was actually feeling my outside wheel and that rear wheel were starting to slip on me to the point where I couldn't go faster because I didn't have the traction. The trike wasn't holding onto the ground.
Yeah.
But that's because, you know, it's not a racing trike. It's a racing touring trike.
Exactly.
The VTX, that hugs the ground a lot more. Where the Sprint X Tour, that little bit of extra seat height.
It's narrower also, yeah.
But then this Adventure, doing the same pushing, going around that hill, I felt the whole rear end was just kind of sliding on me a little bit.
Yep, that's what I felt too.
Yeah, you felt that too. Yeah.
But never on the front.
Yeah,
which
right.
a little
and
bit.
I felt that too. I think it's that wider front.
Yeah.
I felt like these front wheels were just clinging, and then that rear wheel was starting to slide a little bit. You know, if you look at our videos, like from the top of the hill to the bottom of that hill, you know, we usually get down that hill in a minute. You know, that's a brutal climb and a hike to get a 1 minute roller coaster ride. And I think this time, you know, we put everything we had on these trikes going down there, figured out what the limits are. They're very comfortable trikes, and they are different riding for different adventures. You know, Yann, he rides an Adventure, loves it. And like I said, I think for me and my style of riding, I would definitely prefer the Sprint X Tour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, my Adventure is my gravel trike. I don't think like there's one trike do it all. You know, it's like you're gonna have some advantage.
You can't have just one trike for everything.
It's like I wish.
Right.
But here's the thing. I thought the Sprint X will be my ice trike all around to do everything. But now that I went off-road with the Adventure, I did stuff with the Adventure I wouldn't feel comfortable doing with the Sprint X.
Sure.
And vice versa. I'm actually modifying my Adventure to be more of an off-road.
Uh-huh.
And in the future, I know I will end up either with a Sprint or a VTX. But it's this thing, like everywhere, we hope we can find this one trike that do it all. But really, if you're passionate, if you're a trike geek like we are, it's not such a thing. You're gonna always end up with multiple trike eventually.
You guys heard it. You heard it from Ron. You can't have just one trike. You got to
Yeah.
have your off-road trike. You got to have your racing trike. It is really hard to find one trike that does it
Yep.
all. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you got something out of this and you enjoyed spending some time with us today, as we got to spend more time with each other and with you and with the train and with some traffic. And for me, it's a good time. Anytime that I can go out and ride, I'm having a good time.
Yeah, always.
And even if I'm hot and I'm sweaty, or if I'm caught in the rain, I love being out there riding a trike, and it's a blast. So we hope that you guys can get out there and ride a trike. And if you don't have a trike yet and you're trying to decide which trike is right for you, let us know. Let us help you figure out which trike is right for your riding style. Come to our shop, try one out, or if we're not close to you, give us a call. Let us help you figure out which one's for you, and we can build it up and ship it out to you. So in the meantime, guys, we want you to remember to what?
To relax, ride fast, and oh, I almost got it right.
That was pretty close, right?
Relax, spin fast, and ride trikes.
All right, guys, we'll see you later. Hey, this is what we get for trying to leave early.
I think we're gonna be here for a while.
These guys are just teasing us. Oh my gosh. At least it's not raining. Well, there's worse things than waiting for a train.
Yeah.